starting now with our second presidential debate with the political parties of the Democrats, both with including Mr. Night Vioxide and then Mr. Lee Eagle, and then with the Republican side, Mr. Concrete Killer. Gentlemen, would you like to give a brief explanation or introduction on yourself, starting with you, Night?
So I am a Democrat, as you already said. Something that some people know and some people don't. I'm also known as Fresh Start, so I'm not like new into the world at all. I just wanted to get that out of the way really quick. Um, Really, I just hope I can be the president of this city and slash country. There's a lot of things I want to work on, and help a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Eagle, what do you have to say about yourself?
Me being Eagle, like I said, like he said before, I am the commissioner of the police department and commissioner of the fire department. I also run the LBK Regime Office of Emergency Management, for short, LBK OEM. So when it
Very
comes
good.
to disaster and things like that, I'm the one to go to.
Thank you. Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you very much,
Proceed.
sir. And Mr. Concrete, go ahead, sir.
Hello. My name is Concrete Killer, and I am running for the Republican Party. I am a very well-known architect in the LBK regime. I have also a very long history with the LBK regime. And I hope that I could be your next president.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Now, I would just like to, I'm actually sitting here with Anthony, or Mr. Eagle's VP pick, and then, or is that right, Eagle? VP pick? Anthony? Yes. Okay. Anyway,
Negative.
Negative. Okay, my bad. Sorry about that, folks. So I'm just gonna give a little bit of specifics on each of these gentlemen's career. So Mr. Eagle is the current police commissioner, and he's a very, very strong activist in the parliament system. He is constantly making sure that all of these laws and things are being able to be clarified, as well as he is a very, very good police officer, and he's constantly keeping safety inside the world. Mr. Fresh had used to be the Secretary of Defense. He is extremely powerful in the military field. He has fought in countless wars with very, very good results. He is extremely good for national security, and he knows how to take action with an iron fist. Mr. Concrete is the current CEO of Killacorp, one of the most successful architecture/infrastructure development companies in the world right now. He is actually one of the founding fathers of the world too. So all three of these gentlemen are very, very strong and backed up by their careers, and their reputations precede them by a long shot. Now, gentlemen, let us continue with economics. Before we start, the Democrats, they have a very strong basis about what they want to do, considering that President LBK, again guys, third person, President LBK had recently just endorsed the Democratic political party. Now, even though Mr. LBK said that he wasn't going to do this, it's okay to change your views. But, Mr. Concrete, we're actually going to start with you first. JC,
Okay.
excuse me, Mr. JC had actually said, reviewed his economic policy yesterday. Though it was thought that he was gonna tax people high first for more rights, he actually corrected us and said that he was gonna tax low and then have it balance out. How are you gonna approach your economic policies? Or are you gonna follow the same as the JCs?
I feel like JC's idea is not a bad one. It does need some refining. Obviously, everything could be better. And overall, I think that we'll stick with JC's idea. Just refine it and make it better and live it out to its full potential.
Can you give us any specifics, like on maybe housing taxation, business taxation, anything like that, or
Actually, what I'm planning on doing is having in order to be able to travel to New Sovia, you will well, yeah, you'll have to be able to pay
Mm,
a tax
an
to
exit
like
tax.
it's yeah, kind of like a booth that you see
Interesting.
on the highways, that
Interesting.
you pay. So it'll be 3 stars, and those three
Three,
stars will be yeah, divided up.
3 stars.
Yeah.
Um, okay, well, hopefully we get a lot of businesses moving out and such. Thank you, Mr. Concrete. Mr. Eagle, will you be keeping the same with current Democratic President LBK with his taxation among homes to businesses, but then also keeping true to the no exit tax, or what are you going to be proposing to the LBK regime in the world?
Well, when it comes to taxes, obviously it's going to be pretty high because what I have plans is I want constant progression on the LBK regime. And with the progression, that means that there's going to be taxes, but it's not going to be too much. But when it comes to taxes, like I said, the infrastructure, when it comes to businesses and all that, it's going to go up. Public works, roads, it'll
Mm-hmm.
increase with the means of taxes.
Mm,
Prices will go low, but taxes will rise.
I see.
So it's a balance.
Mr. Eagle?
Yes, it does.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Night Dioxide, what do you have to say about this?
So the taxes currently right now, I think they are very good. We might need to collect them more.
Agreed.
Taxes aren't being collected enough, I think. So, because a lot of people, they work hard and everything, and then they just have all this money, and when it comes to working, you gotta be taxed. That's how it works. So taxes, they're either gonna go higher or stay the same. We're gonna get more strict on collecting them and making sure people do pay them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm with Eagle. The more money that the government gets, the more roads and stuff that we can build, and also that makes more jobs.
Mm-hmm. Is that it?
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir. Just a little bit of a confirming fact that actually is true. Mr. LBK has actually admitted to the public that he is actually quite sorry for the incoherence of tax collection, but he hopes that future candidates will actually enforce taxation to embrace our economy. Gentlemen, moving on with the next subject, which is actually going to be social policy, aka civilian rights slash the citizenship interview. As you see, I'm very sure that all candidates had watched the presidential debate last night, and we had a very diverse talk about the controversies revolving around the citizenship interview and actually the privileges being given out in which could potentially cause harm to our city. What do you gentlemen propose to avoid any kind of harm to our city, but then also continue the flow of incoming immigrants, but then also giving them their rights so they could help our economy, build up the city, and also live their own life? Mr. Eagle, let's start with you first.
Well, when it comes to people coming into the regime, of course, like from New Soviet and all parts of the world, what I have plans for is once they step in, they will have the interview, of course, as a standard process that will be continued. What will be done about it is they won't get privileges right away. They will sign the contract stating that they would like to become a citizen, and they will become a citizen, for sure. But they have to spend a certain amount of time on the world, get themselves familiar, know the laws, know the place around them, so that way, once they truly know, they'll be asked a few questions about the world, and then after that, we will deem them their rights.
Mr. Eagle, that actually sounds extremely resembled to JC's, Republican candidate JC's Test. Will they actually be tested, or will they only be questioned? And if they like, well, what's gonna happen if they get those questions wrong? Like, will any penalties come from it?
No penalties will honestly come from it. They have unlimited tries. They can keep on trying as long as they put in the effort into it. And once I see that they're putting an effort, I can give them slack, and they could come into this regime.
I see. Thank you very much, Mr. Eagle. Is that it?
That's it.
Yes, sir. Mr. Concrete, Republican candidate, what do you have to say about? Oh, sorry. What do you have to say about this?
May you please restate the question?
Yes, I may, sir. So, what are your views on the civilian rights and citizenship interview policies? Are you going to keep true to those kind of ways, or are you going to completely reformat the citizenship / privilege grantings of all incoming immigrants into the country?
What I'll be doing is we'll still have the interviews and everything, but adding on to the interviews, before they get their privileges, we'll be doing background checks, just to make sure you know they weren't like involved with like any other things that could cause harm to the LBK regime. Another thing is before they get their privileges, I will be partnering up with LSU to make sure that they know all the rules and everything, and that they will be able to you know, obey them and yeah, have a safe and prosperous life in the LBK regime.
Thank you. Mr. Concrete, I actually didn't catch what you meant by the abbreviation of LSU. What is the LSU?
LSU is the university that was recently constructed in the LBK regime that has
Oh,
a
you
bunch
mean
of
LBKU. Got it. Okay.
Oh, my bad.
It's fine. I just wanted to make sure that the audiences knew what you meant. LBKU is basically the LBK Industries controlled university that is actually bringing Project EDU, which is an actual thing being worked on by Chancellor LBK, to bring civic education to on newcoming immigrants. Mr. Knight, you haven't answered this question. What are your views on the this question? If you need me to repeat it, just tell me.
I do not need to repeat it. So,
Yes, sir.
the people coming into the world and everything else, and me as myself as a moderator, same with Eagle, Mental, and a couple others like Concrete too.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of new people yesterday, and I'm gonna go to a specific statement. Me and Mental should have probably been helping out with the new people and the new, and, in the world. But obviously, people have to have a certain priv, to sign the book. So with that, you give them the priv to sign the book, you get the book, and I feel like a mod should give them a tour of the world, spend some time with them. Then, as like kind of a test, ask them like 5 questions, and if they get 3 or more right, they get their privs, and then you can show them like where their house is going to be and everything else. I also agree with the background checks. That's a very important thing. Quickly skim through their communities probably is, I know there's some griefing communities out there, So skim through their communities as a background check. Ask them, some questions that don't really sound suspicious, which sounds really weird saying that, but you don't want them to think like, oh, they're on to me or something, if they are a griefer.
Mr. Conger, you had actually said something earlier, and I think Mr. Freshdark had just, or excuse me, Mr. Knife Oxide had just cleared that up. By background checks, did you mean the community participation analyzation?
Yeah, they're like their online profile and everything. That they, yeah.
Thank you. I was actually a little bit just perplexed about how do you get a background check from a person that has never been in the world before. But luckily, you two had cleared that up, so thank you. So now, moving on to our next our next subject, which is kind of a hybrid. It's how to keep national security, but then also keeping your alliance with allied neighboring nations like New Sov or Bloxburg. Well, the upcoming Bloxburg. Mr. Knight, actually, let's start with you first.
Me is with this question, being the former Secretary of Defense, technically I still am for less than a month, the 2 terms, 3 months. That's coming up, and, dealing with that, I've learned a lot, about defense and everything else. The United Nations is a great thing,
Mm.
definitely. I know New Soviet is a part of it. Bloxburg intends to be a part of it. So that obviously, we do have the wall as protection, but obviously we have things outside of the city, like starships and other things, to
Mm-hmm.
help for defense, like one's currently built right now. I'm not going to touch on it too much, but it's been pretty important. I've been working on it, for a very long time. It's about to be finished, so I'm very proud of that and everything else. Like with mechas, new ones getting made and everything else. We should probably have some of those out, with the rest of the army vehicles, and drones and everything like that. And with Bloxburg, we're gonna want to have some stuff out there, just in case Bloxburg, gets hostile.
Mm. So you're proposing putting premature defense grids outside of Bloxburg to make sure that they behave?
Yeah, because one thing, that happened not too long ago, so, maybe a month and a half ago, was Harry Toad's country, Kingstonia,
Kingstonia.
No.
Kingston. We have the, neutralized that target there. They were being hostile. We
Sorry guys, real fast, there's some background.
have anything, kind of out there at the time, and with Harry Toad's country, it was connected to our wall. We should have taken precautions maybe faster than we did.
Agreed. Thank you, Mr. Fresh, or Mr. Knight. Knight, or sorry, Eagle, what do you have to say about keeping national security, but then also maintaining bonds with other nations?
Well, what we're doing when it comes to keeping security within the regime, obviously I am in charge of the police department, of course, and I'll be dispatching police officers around the world. Around the regime, keeping peace and keeping relations within others. But when it comes to international relations, I will have the UN, and then I will have select metal and establish relations with others. And
Thank
when
you.
it comes
sorry.
when it comes to the relations, we want to maintain a strong one rather than having a weak one, having it broken, and then coming up for war.
I see. Is this it, Mr. Knight, or Mr. Eagle?
That's it.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Concrete, how would you like to conclude with this question?
Could you restate the question?
Yes, I will, sir. So how will you maintain national security in the LBK regime, but then also making sure that our bonds and international alliances with neighboring nations will be maintained?
One way.
Very sorry about that.
Oh wait. Okay.
Sorry.
Is it?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
One way I will be keeping national security inside the LBK regime strong is obviously supporting the police department, obviously Eagle too, maybe making donations through my company, And for the international what's it called? International security or
International relations.
yeah, international relations to keep those strong. Actually, ever since the peace treaty was signed with New Sovia, I was always wondering why we kept the wall between the two cities.
Oh.
So what I am proposing is when I become president to get rid of the wall between New Sovia and the LBK regime and plant a very thick forest just in case they do try anything. Just plant like a very thick forest, and obviously we'd have the booth I was talking about earlier uh, for the tax, and yeah, pretty
Um,
much.
Mr. Concrete, you actually just brought up an extremely interesting point and plan and procedure. Mr. JC, Republican candidate, also, he had actually proposed putting a mother starship or something like that in the matter between our two nations. Might those two plans like cohere with each other to like where the starship is actually over the massive jungle for trading agreements? I know we haven't touched on international trade in a while, but might that happen?
Yeah.
Interesting, very interesting.
It's very yeah. It might obviously happen, but it's not going to be a jungle. It's going to be a forest. Just clearing that up.
Thank you.
Yeah. It'll be a forest, and I mean, I don't know why JC would want to build the mothership even though we have a peace treaty signed with New Sovia. I think
Well,
that's a little bit absurd.
the just kind of clearing up his word, he said that the both nations would own the starship and it would actually be used as kind of like a funnel to trade resources. It's not an act of hostility.
Oh, okay, sorry. You should have stated that. My bad.
Oh, well, did you watch the debate last night?
I did, but I mean,
Oh, well.
all right. So yeah, I would just, yeah, that's what I'd do.
Thank you,
Get
Mr.
rid of the
Khan.
wall. Get rid of the wall between the two cities.
Thank you. Actually, that kind of brings us into our next topic, which I believe Mr. Concrete had already kind of cleared up: trading, especially an international level. Mr. Eagle, how do you want to propose a trading agreement between neighboring nations to make sure that healthy relations are also kept, but then also so they don't hurt our economic status here at the regime?
Trade will be secured by a separate group like the police department. The police department will enforce trade with the group that will be trading with other foreign nations. Now, when it comes to the trade, obviously it has to be necessities, like electricity, things like that. But can you please stop laughing, sir? Trying to speak. Thank you. But obviously, trade will be enforced, and obviously, relations. Can you please stop laughing? Please. Thank you. Relations have to be strong in order
Sorry.
to. Sir, I'm trying to speak. Can you please stop? For the last time. Relations have to be strong in order for trading to commence, because we cannot have weak relations and then trade, because then they might look at us and say, these guys, they're not really helping us when it comes to trading, and they're not helping our economy at
Just
times.
keep talking.
And they'll just break trade off completely, and then they'll trade with other nations. And since we will be cut out from them, we will be suffering. We won't be making much progress from trading as of other nations will. So every trade within nation does count.
Thank you, Mr. Eagle. Considering that you had multiple interruptions in that segment of information, you are completely entitled to repeating that later on if you'd like. For now, we're going to move on to Mr. Night Vioxide. Mr. Night Vioxide, how are you can propose international trading agreements within other nations, but then also making sure that they don't hurt our domestic economic status.
So, one thing that I've touched on, not in this debate yet, but is if I did become president, obviously I would have my cabinet, all right? And one thing I would want, one of the positions I'm going to have in my cabinet is called Secretary of Transportation. Now, transportation with like the mine carts and everything, it's there, but it's not, not a lot of people use it. So, but the world, and then I'm gonna touch on this. The world height, like underground, is 3 blocks, but that's still big enough to have a subway system. So I want to have transportation going from New Sylvia to our city and different stops in our city, so we can get, goods from trading and stuff from New Sylvia to here. And I think really Eagle's idea too about the police, getting involved. I agree with that completely, but also with this situation of having transportation, because then it kind of makes it easier in a way.
Mm-hmm. Is that it, Mr. Knight?
Yes, that is it.
Thank you. So now that trading is all reviewed with us now, we're gonna move on to our next subject. Currently we are at the 30-minute mark in the debate, so we still have plenty of time, about half an hour. Let's continue with the segment of policy support and reimbursement / abandonment. Specifically, again, like yesterday night, targeting Constitution Bill, Proclamation S, and Treaty with Sov, aka Treaty with New Sylvia. Mr. Concrete, I'd actually like to hear about what you would like to say about maybe perhaps the reimbursement of Constitution Bill, considering that it was formerly for Jay's construction company to help build future real estate homes to help the business infrastructure, but it really kind of flopped on its feet. Will you continue the support or try to revamp it since it has completely died out, or will you allow the citizens to have their own freedom and justice in building their homes when they wish and how they wish?
I feel as though it'd be a good idea to continue. Um, what is it called? What's the document called?
Constitution Bill.
Yeah, the Constitution. I feel like, yeah, it'd be a good idea to continue the Constitution Bill. Actually, my company has recently, well, not recently, about a month ago, um, started up a gated community, actually, which was gonna follow that the
Constitution Bill.
Constitution
Just
bill.
Bill. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna follow that, but I guess obviously things didn't fall through, and yeah, so as I feel as though we will still use it, but obviously it needs some refining, and everybody still we have to like advertise it so people know about it and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Mr. Concrete. Mr. Eagle?
Well, when it comes to the Constitution Bill, obviously I see ditching it as an option and keeping it as an option. But what I honestly would see is having people come into the world have that liberty of building their homes the way they want it, how they want it,
Mm-hmm.
as long as they could pay the amount that is required to have the house, they can build it. As long as it meets the requirements that we have set forth, and I know in having them build whatever they.
You might kind of cut out with that last part. Could you repeat that?
I can have these people do whatever as long as they meet the requirements.
Thank you. Is that it?
That's it.
Mr. Knight, what do you have to say?
Well, first things first, I want to say I'm gonna need you to restate the question, please, because I had people unmuted in the party, and I had to mute them about halfway through the question, and I didn't hear what the question was.
I see. Yes, sir. So are you in favor of keeping the traditional thoughts of Constitution Bill, aka corporate infrastructure slash architecture businesses to build homes and real estate for the oncoming immigrants for the regime, or are you gonna abandon its thoughts completely and grant the freedom like Mr. LBK does today, and simply just let the people build for themselves, or completely just throw in something new that is from your party?
So I'm gonna go back to my cabinet. I'm gonna have really quick is I'm gonna have somebody that is Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, and that person, I'm gonna be talking to them, and I'm gonna think this is what I really plan on wanting to do, is that I want to have houses pre-made, or I think that's a good idea, and but I also want people to have the freedom to make their own house. I don't think people should not be allowed to. Um,
Mm-hmm.
when making their own house, this is how I want to, well, let's keep that the same way. But here's the thing: if you don't have the money to make your own house, you might be put into a pre-built house. But if you have money, you will obviously be able to make your own house. I think that's the way I wanted to go with this. Is the people that can't really afford a house, they can have one of the pre-built ones,
Mm.
and then they'll obviously have to sign papers. But if you have money, we'll give you a certain section of land, ask you, if you want your house, if your house is going to be mansion class, medium class, or small class, then they pay, and then they have that certain land. And maybe, if that does work out in the future, then I think we'll just have to keep that, through going on and on. I think that'd be a good idea.
Yes, sir. Um, so now, I'd like to actually just review two more things. One is Proclamation S. Proclamation S, which I'm sure all of you know very well and dear. And for those audience that don't know what Proclamation S is, it's basically an extremely extensive security measure that limits the amount of moderators on the server. It has extreme regulations to what the citizens can do and when they can do it, and then so on. Mr. Eagle, I'd actually like to ask you what your thoughts on Proclamation are going to be, and then also, like, how are you going to reimburse it, completely revamp it? Like, what are your plans on like security?
What I have plans for the proclamation is I would have those as moderator. Obviously, it is going to be refined a little bit, but there's going to be higher standards. Higher discipline will be instilled within these moderators. Those who have the moderator today, they already have the knowledge because they are a moderator themselves,
Mm.
but they will be kept at a higher standard, and we cannot have any incidents where we would have moderators being immature, doing
Mm.
things like that, and interrupting citizenship processes. Because image is everything. We want to provide a good image so that way people can continue relations with us. We cannot have a bad image amongst the public.
Very good. Um, are you gonna are you gonna provide a means to have any more moderators join the cabinet board, or what's your initiative on that?
I would keep it I would keep it the same way it is now, a small, tight group, because we cannot have way too much moderators running amok, because it's just going to be a gigantic mess. Because there's going to be accountability instilled, and when it comes to moderators doing this, you have to get on top of everything and see who is doing what, and then you're going to take it away. But instead of dealing with the hassle, you might as well have a small tight group that can work effectively.
I see. Mr. Knight, what's your views on this?
Everything that Eagle said, it about sums up everything I believe in with Proclamation S and then everything else. And I definitely think, though, new moderators should come in. Like, we should have new moderators, but there's a lot of very strict requirements that it takes to be a moderator. Like, one is just simply being in the world, like, playing, with the people for a certain amount of time, and then there's obviously being mature, and then there's need to take a breath.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of requirements that it takes, and another one of them is helping people, like new members. Yesterday, me and Mental as mods, we weren't acting, the best that we could have, but we had been punished by being kicked out of the party, which is fine. And then we had said we were sorry, and then we started acting more mature, and we're trying to keep the chat as peaceful as possible, but between Stink, I'm just saying names off the top of my head, Stink, Isaiah, some others, we've been trying to, do what we can to keep it friendly, because that's what we want. We want people that are moderators to help and just keep the environment friendly, so when new people join the world, they know there's not people that will be mean to you and like bully you in a way.
Thank you, Mr. Fresh. Is that it?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Concrete, first off, I just want to say, if you want me to stop alluding to the way JC is approaching his political policies with the Republican Party, you could always tell me. But the way that JC is actually like approaching the moderator situation is he's going to have a test that the moderators could take that's actually going to be taught at LBKU, and it's designated LBKU class for moderator categorization. Is that the way that you're going to approach it? And the reason I'm saying this is because the Democrats far outweigh the Republicans, and we've gotten more and more feeds on the Democratic policy than the Republican. So again, if you want me to stop alluding to JC's policy, just tell me. But is that how you're gonna do it, or what's your plan?
No, I mean, obviously, President LBK has President LBK has kept Proclamation S to a very, very high standard, which is why the regime is still standing today. So I feel as though the system shouldn't be tampered with if, it's obviously doing well for itself.
Interesting. Is this it? You're gonna stay true to Proclamation S standards?
Yes, correct.
Thank you very much, Eagle. Now...
Eagle?
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Concrete. My bad. Now, I'm pretty sure the subject we've all been waiting for. Supportment of starships.
Ooh, let's go.
Mr.
Can
Concrete...
I go first?
Oh, okay. Yes, Mr. Night Dioxide. Yes, you may.
It's about to get heated.
So when it comes to the building,
wait, before we start, there is open discussion allowed amongst the other moderators or amongst the other candidates. So prepare.
All right. Okay.
This is a completely new thing.
Right.
So, Mr. Go ahead.
So, as V, I'm very happy about this topic. This is my favorite topic, as a lot of people probably know. When it comes to me and starships, I think with me, being one of the best builders of starships. Same with you, LBK, and same with a couple others that helped build the Ostentatious. With building the Moth, aka Project Red, aka it's the one next to the Vengeance. I was gonna say its color, but then knowing these days, something bad will probably happen. Let's say the color of it. So I don't know. I'm not being racist.
Mr. Concrete, anything to say about that?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
Christ.
mean, I feel as though obviously I stated that I am against starships, which is still a very true fact. I feel well.
Why are you against
I mean,
them?
listen, I'm talking.
Hey, order. Alright? Right, let the man
The audience
speak.
can't, guys. The audience can't hear if we're speaking over each other.
Listen, I feel starships. All right, this is obviously they take a lot of time to build, a lot of dedication and long hours go into them. And they look cool, but I feel as though they're a waste of time and money. And I'm not saying that we're gonna stop building starships. What I'm saying is, I feel like they shouldn't be built in residential areas, where they affect how people live, and work.
But, Mr. Concrete, many people view that starships being placed in central points of the city offer strategic, defensive positions in which allow us to
Security.
combat any kind of threat. Do you say differently?
Yeah, because since we signed that peace treaty, which was our biggest enemy, New Soviet. I mean, now we don't really need them anymore since that peace treaty was signed.
Mr. Concrete, are you forgetting the war that we had with Kingstonia and Pandora?
Didn't we handle it well?
Because the starships provided defensive purposes.
I know they did.
Now we talk about
Yes.
that topic. Alright, starships do provide a good purpose for defense, as you already said. Now, Concrete, this is a question towards you as me talking, is this, the Infinity, because I said I wasn't even mentioning your name earlier, but it's outside of the city, but yet...
That's what I like about it. That's what I like about it.
Wait, but yet during your rally, you said you didn't like that being there because there might be development eventually being out there. But now you're changing, your thoughts. So I want to know your opinion on that. Can I ask what's your opinion on that? First you said you didn't not like it. Now you're saying you do like it. I need the opinion on that.
Well, this is gonna be fun.
I'll give you my opinion. Obviously, the LBK regime will hopefully not stop growing, which is why starships should be spread out, so they could so they don't interfere with, the development of the LBK
Yeah.
regime.
I would like to jump in on this.
Yes, Mr. Eagle?
When it comes to starships, obviously I see them being worth something. There is always something special about the starships. Like, for example, the Infinity that Knight is building just hours and hours on end. He's putting dedication into these starships. These starships will have a purpose, not only but for wartime, but for the general welfare of the regime as a whole.
I would like to point out... Oh, sorry.
I understand what Concrete is saying, that there's going to be constant growing of the regime, but we could just expand in different directions rather than going towards the starship and having more shadow up below for the buildings down below, casted by the starships. we could just move outward, away from them,
Mr.
so we
Concrete,
don't have to deal with the shadows.
Mr.
No,
Concrete, oh, I'm sorry, Eagle. Go ahead.
no,
No,
it was me that said it.
Oh, I'd
I
like to
wanted
bring
to
up
put
something
one
real
more thing.
fast. Mr. Concrete, you say that starships are a waste of resources, but we have several reports from the government that starships actually help people greatly in their financials. So, if we would be saving those financials instead of spending them on starships, where else would you spend the money, and how else would you provide jobs for people? Because I could probably say a lot of jobs are running out in the LBK regime right now. The unemployment rate is actually quite high. People are asking for work. We're not able to provide. How are we going to fix this without starships?
We'll fix this by obviously saving money on not building them and building factories where people could work and get paid good money. And then the unemployment rate will go down and the economy will go up.
Mr. Fresh, you had something to say?
Yeah. So before we got on this topic, how about you saying it keeps growing, and we might get to that point where starships are, and with the giant shadow, there's two war-torn countries that you have to get through, to get there, and one of them, the person still can come back on. Both of them actually, I think, can come back on
No,
anytime.
Block is banned. Block is banned.
Okay, I didn't know that. Harry
Harry's
can
a
come back
warlord.
on
Yeah,
anytime
he's a
he
warlord.
wants,
But if he comes into
he's
our
a
city,
warlord.
yeah, he goes
Yeah,
into prison.
so with him, so that's why the city's kind of been left there in, pieces, and also in the fact about the economy, it's created a lot of jobs. I tell you, Fade, he had helped me building Fade for a good part. That gave him a job to do. Waffle, he had helped build it. That gave him a job to do. As much as I not hate JC, but he didn't do a lot of work on it. But it gave him a job to do. It gave these people jobs to do. And with the ostentatious, I can tell you
Oh wow,
at least
yeah,
over 15 people had worked on that. 15 different people at least, and I was one of them. I know Waffle was one of them at the time. A couple others. Sadly, I know
Blood.
Harry was one of them.
Blood was
Harry,
too.
Blood, Block too. All these bad people did help build it. It gave a lot of jobs. They were helpful. They help security wise, and everything else. It's that's what they do. That's probably it on that topic, in my opinion. I
Okay,
don't think I have
so
anything else I wanted to cover.
Mr. Concrete, you
okay,
had something
so
to say?
yeah, so obviously, what you're saying, Fresh, is I mean they do provide a lot of jobs, correct? But that's during the building process. After these starships are built, they just sit there.
That's
I mean,
not.
obviously they provide security, right? But how often does that happen?
Whenever we're at war.
No, talk again. No, talk again on that topic that you just said. People that are in the military, Concrete.
Yeah.
Guess where that gives them a place to work? The starship. And border control. And other places.
Mr. Concrete,
that gives
every
them a
single
job,
ship
too.
that has been constructed in the LBK regime atmosphere and outside has been designated a warship, not luxury class, not cargo freighter, not recreational. If we would be able to have, perhaps maybe if we kind of spent less on the warship fund and maybe actually spent less somewhere outside the field of warship, do you think that would be able to provide jobs for people?
Of course, yeah.
You would be in support of that, even though the big shadow
Yes.
that you just said they would cast?
Yeah. So here's the deal. Okay. I am stand corrected. You guys will keep the freaking starships, okay?
I did think of one more thing I wanted to say really quick.
Alright, just rub it in. Just rub it in. Go
No,
ahead.
no, I'm not being, I'm not trying to be mean or anything. Starships, yeah, they can be cargo freighters, they can be anything, like LBK said. They don't have to be war, like some of them have intended to be. Like, with the Infinity, I have thought about it a lot, maybe becoming a country and a place for people to live just because of its massive size, so some, people can live there too. I'm officially done with this question.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
me too.
Mr. Eagle. Are you done with this too?
Yeah.
Thank you. This is now concluding our Democratic/Republican debate. You all now have a chance to give a concluding statement on the debate. Who would like to go first?
Me.
Mr. Knight, you may go first.
Alright. People of the LBK regime and just in the community too, because some in the community, YouTube channel, the chat, all you guys, if you're on Xbox or anywhere else, you can vote. You have that chance. Hopefully throughout this talk, you have thought very well about who you might want to vote for, or, whether it's Democratic or Republican, doesn't matter.
Or
You can
independent,
vote
or
for.
Green Party.
Well, I was talking about since this debate was just these two. That's why I didn't say it. But you guys, you get to do that. So, some part of debates, and you gotta throw some shade. Do you guys want a Democrat, or do you want a Republican, or the Green Party? Which, let's be fair, nobody votes for the Green Party, guys.
Or independent. Don't forget the independent party.
Independent people vote for. Bernie Sanders was an independent, but when it came to race, he registered himself under the Democratic Party. So, in my opinion, I hope you make the right choice of voting any of the Democrats. And I'm done with my final statement.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. Mr. Eagle, would you like to go first? Or next?
I would go after concrete.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Thank you all, thank you all, LBK regimers or not. Obviously you guys all have the chance to vote, and have a good day, I guess. Yeah.
Mr. Eagle.
Voting does matter. Your voice will be expressed by who you want to be in office. Remember, every vote counts, and together we shall rise and continue the great legacy of what President LBK has done, and we will continue onward together.
Agreed.
Thank you, gentlemen. This now concludes the Democratic/Republican debate. We will now be going into our political analyst/synopsis period. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a great afternoon. Yes, this is actually now the ending of the debate. We are actually going to see Mr. Concrete is quickly rushing out of the building. No, we had seen no political handshake from neither parties, which is actually very strange. Not even from both the Democratic parties, which is a little ironic as well. But we are actually going to go now into our quarters and analyze what we had seen from this debate. So, obviously, this is actually probably our most well adept political party debate we've had so far, and with that, they are extremely experienced. Concrete being one of the founding fathers of the world, Mr. Eagle being the police commissioner, and then Mr. Fresh being the former Secretary of Defense. These are all extremely powerful roles, and each of them are actually extremely active in the world. So let's actually it seems as though the Republican Party is very adept at changing their views very, very quickly during the debate. Many people are actually kind of questioning, are they going to say anything to get those votes? So that's a lot of flame towards the Republican Party. The Republicans are also very dire in their political advertisements as well. So that might be the demise of some of the loss of their votes in other counties of the country as well. Many people are actually questioning from the debate that education or jobs. What about those? This wasn't really touched on very strongly at all during the debate, but that's actually what people are specifically looking for. So maybe if we actually see that being specifically addressed in prep rallies or in rallies from the independent candidacy or Republican or Democrat or Green Party or Libertarian, which currently we do not have a Libertarian candidate yet. Maybe somebody will bounce into the race. That would be very good for all parties. It seems as though that the Democrats are very, very and the Republicans are very agreed to having and sharing a background community check. This is going to be very interesting. Mr. President LBK had never really he had never really made a movement on this, and a lot of people questioned why. So that hopefully will regulate oncoming immigration flows as well. And this is all very, very interesting. We got some major thrashing from the Republican candidate Concrete, saying that he is actually for starships, but actually not if they're underneath the warship funding program, which actually does help with militarized defense grids and such. We actually got a very surprising statement today. It seems as though all three candidates today are for Proclamation S. They actually said Proclamation S is very powerful and solid legislative program, and that they actually, even Republican candidate Concrete is against JC's moderation test, which is actually very fascinating. We have never seen this before. Mr. Concrete proposes that all starships needs to be spread out so that we have a more diversified defense grid, while other political party candidates propose that they need to be in specific areas all grouped together so that they can provide the most thick of defense. This is all extremely interesting. Mr. Eagle had actually made a quote saying that moderators must keep a very high standard among others because they are held accountable if things must go wrong. This is very, very true, because moderators are actually a very, very large segment of a functioning system. We had actually seen a little bit of political candidate Fresh say that he is very sorry for his performance yesterday with the immigration inclusions upon their citizenship, and that he will try. That's basically all he really said. This is actually very, very effective, because it shows that he's able to admit for even his mistakes. So that's very, very good. So these are we hadn't really actually, most of the candidates had proposed a exiting tax, I'm very sure, which is actually gonna, with Mr. Concrete's, I'm pretty sure 3 stars for each company exiting tax within each nation. So this is all very, very interesting, and these are all things we need to take into account with. So later on, we will try to bring on a Democratic / Green Party / Independent debate featuring Mr. Candidate Fade, current VP of the LBK administration, Mr. Isaiah, Green Party administration, and Mr. J. Wonder, Independent administration. These are all going to be extremely vital debates, and we will try to bring that to you either today or tomorrow if we could be able to do so. But as usual, thank you very much for tuning in, and this is LBK News, bringing you the best of news.